Operation Peer Support, Horn and Martz Keep Giving by Stuart Nelson. Ken Horn, Rising to the Challenge. A photo accompanies this section of Horn and Martz Keep Giving. The photo reveals a man on a snowboard on a snow-packed mountain. He is wearing a winter parka, gloves, helmet, waterproof pants, and ski goggles. He is identified in front by a vest that says Blind Rider. Posing for the photo, he has both arms raised high in the air. The caption states, "While Ken's mountain in life is loss of vision, he believes everyone has their own personal mountain to climb. What matters, he says, is how one climbs that mountain." The copy begins as follows. When Lieutenant Colonel Ken Horn retired, was first nominated in January 2017 to receive the most prestigious annual BVA award, he knew next to nothing about it and just slightly more about a group of veterans he would soon thereafter champion and with whom he would become a significant player. Nor did he realize that he had come upon an organization and friends with whom he could continue living his passion, that of spending time with other veterans. I had not been to a single BVA meeting or convention and had only recently joined the organization, and all of a sudden I was dumbfounded to find out that they want to give me an award for professional achievement over everyone else in an organization of thousands who could have been selected, he said. Walking up to receive the award from then National President Dale Stamper before a crowd of blinded veterans and their family members at the BVA 72nd National Convention Awards banquet in Jacksonville, Florida, he still felt new to and unconnected with the organization, its history, and those who had been recognized in the past. I received that recognition not really knowing what was behind it or what it meant, he said. What he did know was that life had thrown him a curveball or two, especially in recent years, and that there were some mountain peaks he had found himself climbing before he could once again come down from that mountain and connect with those same curveballs as he had done so many times before. Following the Jacksonville BVA convention, Ken learned that the Major General Melvin J. Moss Award for Professional Achievement is an honor named for a veteran of World War I, a former member of the United States Congress from Minnesota, and a Major General in the Marine Corps Reserves during World War II. Melvin J. Moss became totally blind in 1951, joined BVA shortly thereafter, and became an important contributor to its success as a national vice president in 1953 and national president in 1960. Retired two-star General Rita Oregon, Secretary of Military and Veterans Affairs for the Oklahoma Veterans Commission in 2017, and now the State of Oklahoma's Secretary of Veterans Affairs, nominated Ken for that same Moss Award. Her assessment of Ken's drive and the determination as a, quote, consummate overachiever, unquote, only begins to tell his story, a story that now benefits BVA and dozens of his blinded veteran comrades whom he likes to treat as family. Through a BVA initiative known as Operation Peer Support, Ken is more particularly aware and concerned about a group of veterans who have more recently experienced loss of sight. As chair of the Operation Peer Support Committee, he oversees the participation of the members of this group in adaptive sports and recreational activities, educational opportunities, and endeavors that help them better care for their own well-being. Ken's initiative, consistency, managerial capabilities, and his tenacious and aggressive work ethic are astounding, and to have done this as a legally blind soldier is a testament to the capacity of the human spirit, said General Oregon. He is an outstanding leader and developer of young talent, and he is totally devoted to making a difference in veterans' lives. Ken Horn is a native Oklahoman, born in Bartlesville. He graduated from high school in Gore, Oklahoma in 1986. Shortly thereafter, he enlisted in the Army Reserves as an infantryman. He graduated from Northeastern State University in Tahlequah in 1989 as a distinguished military graduate and was commissioned a second lieutenant in the Air Defense Artillery. Ken's Army assignments included service in the 101st Airborne Division, the 25th Light Infantry Division, and the 10th Mountain Division. He was a recruiting operations officer for the University of Central Oklahoma Army, ROTC, for 2 years, and a professor of military science during his final 4 years. Ken suspected that something was wrong with his vision, especially his night vision, for much of the first 16 years of his career. Because of other injuries he experienced, some of which required surgeries following his retirement, his focus was not always on his eyesight. He simply did not know what it was or the extent of his difficulty seeing. He had good central vision, but sometimes did not recognize that something was located immediately next to him. One experience involved a fellow paratrooper with whom he nearly collided in midair during a parachute jump training exercise. I did go see and complain to some Army doctors along the way, but my eyes were never given a field of vision test until I took my son to an optometrist in Turkey, where I badly failed an eye test and then another one that eventually led to the diagnosis of retinitis pigmentosa, he said. Before that, I had never shied away from the most challenging assignments, and I never really felt disabled. I called myself the Mr. Magoo of the Army medical system, for those who remember that cartoon, for what I was able to continue doing even with vision problems. Ken served 4 more years on active duty following the RP diagnosis, now as a successful professor of military science at the University of Oklahoma in U.S. Army Cadet Command. He took a failing program and in fewer than 3 years saw it double in size and rank second among the 36 schools in his brigade. It ranked first among large schools. In 2007, he was the University of Oklahoma's Student Association Outstanding Faculty Member of the Year. Following his Army retirement in 2010, Ken served as a program manager for Alitech, a defense contracting company at Fort Sill, and as the executive director for the Air Defense Artillery Association. He took Alitech's business line from 1 employee to 71 employees in 30 months, and in 3 years won 15 government task orders worth more than $18 million, while also managing multiple projects and groups of personnel in 7 different states. Ken's recognition as a Melvin J. Moss Award recipient resulted in large part from his work at the University of Central Oklahoma from 2014 to 2017. Responding to a job posting for a manager of veteran student support in 2014, Ken was the first ever to hold the position. The 2-person office, including a VA certifying official that he managed, soon grew to include a director position, 4 University of Central Oklahoma employees, 3 of whom were veterans, and 4 student workers. All were veterans or dependents of veterans, and all were on a VA work-study program, making the office almost entirely self-sufficient from university funding. The university established a Veteran Higher Education Resource Office, Vet Hero, in 2012 to address the academic, financial, physical, and social needs of student veterans, but the office lacked oversight of the various projects and programs. Ken said that the university had more than 700 veterans and their dependents using veterans benefits, but found that 200 to 300 additional veterans were on campus and not using their benefits. We tried to take a holistic approach and made our office attractive to family members as well, he said. Many didn't realize that the GI Bill wasn't just about the GIs, but for families also, and we processed the applications for them too. Following his Moss Award honor, Ken remained at Vet Hero an additional 2 years. At the same time, Ken chairs BVA's Operation Peer Support Committee. He also enjoys a consulting opportunity with Yorktown Systems Group, a long-standing firm providing customized solutions and management capabilities to help federal and civil organizations achieve their goals and objectives. As both a role model and a true friend, Ken now brings the same perseverance and drive to the Operation Peer Support initiative that he has rendered to the dozens of other pursuits in his life. The beneficiaries are the Blinded Veterans Association and the individual veterans for whom he is trying to make life better as they adjust to the challenges of legal blindness, most of them veterans who are considerably younger than he, something he is more than accustomed to from his now dozens of years of service. Ken's hopes for BVA's future include a wise stewarding of donation funds that can be stretched a bit further than ever before. He also hopes for continued opportunities for blinded veterans to feel the exhilaration of skiing down mountains, climbing up mountains, hiking the Appalachian Trail, kayaking, fishing, scuba diving, and much more. In many cases, all we lack are transportation funds to make these things happen, he said. I would hope that the cost of transportation would be considered a small price to pay for the opportunities these activities provide to our veterans to break down personal barriers and regain their confidence and sense of purpose in life, and that they can successfully do hard things. Ken also views as absolutely crucial BVA's involvement at every VA BRC as an ambassador of what is possible through rehabilitation and membership in the organization. We need to be there every step of the way for our fellow blinded veterans with a sincerity to learn and know about each and every one of them, he said. As our BVA motto simply states, regarding the assistance we provide each other, we must offer that same unwavering moral support and welcoming that all of us have needed many times since losing our sight. Values lived in Army, firmly rooted for Marts. A group photo accompanies this second section of Horn and Marts Keep Giving. There are 11 hikers in the photo, 9 men and 2 ladies. They are all dressed in summer hiking attire. Most are smiling broadly. In the immediate background are a couple of old trees that are barren of leaves. There is nothing but flat, dry land and clouds in the distant background. The caption reads, "Standing third from right, Eric enjoys a dose of the fellowship and camaraderie with fellow blinded veterans that he sorely missed when leaving the Army. As before, he seeks to be on the giving end of such relationships." The story about Eric Martz begins as follows. The acronym is LDRSHIP, and the capital letters denote loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. These are the values of the United States Army to which Master Sergeant Eric Martz of Moorhead, Minnesota, first committed himself when he enlisted in the Army National Guard in 1985. They are the values to which he has remained devoted and true, notwithstanding the unexpected adversities placed in his path, things he could never have predicted or believed could happen. Born and raised in the small community of Fergus Falls, not far from Moorhead, Eric attended the North Dakota State School of Science following high school graduation and while serving in the National Guard. He volunteered for Operation Desert Storm in 1990 and was picked up by an Armored Brigade combat team that went to the Middle East for fewer than 4 months. Eric returned from his service in Desert Storm free of injury. More than a decade later, he was equally committed, making himself available for deployment with the 34th Infantry Division to Iraq when the U.S. invaded that country after 9/11. On May 11, 2006, Eric and his unit encountered a roadside bomb while on patrol outside Fallujah. He was a considerable distance from the explosion, but the impact was enough to knock him off his feet and onto his back. He got up almost immediately because he did not appear to be hurt. He kept working. "That's simply what you do as a trained member of the military," Eric said of his commitment that day. "You get up and keep working without complaining when there are others around you who are losing their limbs or being severely burned." Within a few days of the explosion, Eric began having some trouble seeing clearly out of his right eye. He thought mucus had accumulated, thus causing the blurred vision, but he could not find any. Things were fuzzy. Doctors told him he could return to perfect vision as they studied test results that revealed nothing. Back then, the correlation between traumatic brain injury, TBI, and optic nerve damage had not been established. Fast forward just 5 months, and now, 8 or 9 smaller explosions later, Eric had lost most of his vision in his right eye and was now having problems with his left eye as well. He wore a patch over his right eye so that the blurred vision in the right eye would not interfere with the still relatively decent vision in his left eye. There was now talk of me leaving for medical help and that I needed to do it, but in my own head, I was sure I was not going to leave my unit, he said. I was not going to leave my guys when they were already shorthanded. Not going to happen. An Army regulation stating that 50% vision is enough to stay on active duty allowed him to convince commanding officers and medical personnel that he could stay. What no one knew at the time was that Eric had suffered concussions that had damaged his optic nerve beyond repair, and more so after that first blast. Only when Eric began experiencing a loss of vision in his left eye, well into 2007, and a year after the first explosion, did he come to terms with the possibility that he would have to leave to get help. "The hardest thing through all of it was the realization that I wouldn't be with my guys anymore and could not go back to them," he said. "I had to fight the feeling that I had abandoned the people I had trained with, fought with, had my life threatened with, and spent all of my time with. There were other hard times ahead, not the least of which was learning how to live without sight. There were surgeries to fix other injuries, a separated shoulder, a broken piece of his collarbone, and severe neck pain. There was significant time spent alone at Fort Gordon's Eisenhower Medical Center. Then there was training at the Central Blind Rehabilitation Center, once using Zoom text and later having to repeat some of the same training using a screen reader after losing the remaining 10% of his vision. There were also close friends who were happy to see him, but did not know how to emotionally handle his injuries themselves or how to maintain his friendship under the new conditions. Sure, there are plenty of opportunities to get discouraged, especially when there is physical pain and the prescription painkillers are there to maybe self-medicate," he said. "As my wife, Bobby, can attest, it's just never been my personality to be tempted by that, and I utterly refuse that route." Resilience and patience paid off in the long run. Opportunities soon arose as a local talk radio show host, a spokesman for veterans on Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., a representative of veterans at the 2014 State of the Union Address, and a new home for him and his family donated by Homes for Our Troops. He again attributes his resilience and the resulting opportunities that came to him to the experience and perspective that comes with age. The negatives for many are very real, he said. Feelings of failure, depression, hopelessness, and despair are out there, especially when maturity might not be there to put it all in a long-term perspective. Eric's loyalty, sense of duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage as a resilient, blinded veteran are now directed toward his fellow veterans. He wants them to never feel alone or abandoned, neither by their fellow veterans nor by their country. Eric has felt the ongoing support of his community and his country, and he wants his fellow veterans to always feel the same. Eric's membership in BVA has provided him with a forum and a vehicle for inspiring his fellow veterans as he has engaged with them in adaptive sports activities, as he has represented the organization in a panel discussion that addressed TBIs at the National Conference of the Association of Research in Vision and Ophthalmology, and by his commitment to bring light to their lives through times of darkness.